Well, hello again, and welcome to the Conditioning Clinic podcast. Now, today I'm going to talk about long distance running, uh, what my take on it is, and why I believe that running isn't as healthy a pursuit as most people would believe, or most people would want you to believe, right? So, uh, before we get into what's wrong with running, let's try and guess why people run. Okay. Now, as I said, I'm guessing here, and these are wild guesses. Um, because to be fair, I don't have much of an experience as a long distance runner. The only time I did a bit of running was way back in 2009, 10, I think it was. And so I was doing these 5Ks, and a friend of mine, she spoke me into doing the London Marathon or the London Half Marathon. So ended up doing that, and then, but that was me done as far as running goes. So getting back to why I think people run. So these, I think, will be some of the reasons. Uh, People think that running is quite good when it comes to losing weight. Then some people tend to think that if you want to get fitter and healthier, running is the best. Then there are others who believe that nothing in the world will make them feel better than running. Okay, now we must have heard about the term runners is high. That's what we're talking about here, right? Now, here's why I have a problem with running. Okay, now the number one thing is you've got to understand that running is one of the most high injury risk physical activities that you can ever imagine. Okay, now I agree, all sports come with a little bit of an injury potential, but the kind of injuries that you're likely to suffer with running um, way overshadow the injury potential of the other sports. Okay, now there are loads and loads of papers out there, like research papers out there that would back me up on this. Now I can remember a systematic review that was published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine a few years back. I think it was 2007, okay, if I'm not mistaken. Now that paper, it spoke about the incidence of lower extremity injuries in long distance runners. Now, what the authors of that study had to say was that for every 5 amateur runners, almost 1 to 4 of the runners were likely to suffer an injury in a year, right? So that's a scary statistic, okay? And more often than not, the joint that was involved was the knee joint, okay? Now, another problem is, like, if you look at joint and ligament injuries, now, as anyone who's undergone these kind of injuries will vouch for, these kind of injuries are pretty notorious to healing. Okay, they take years. They take years to get sorted out. Okay. Also, if you look at conventional medicine, nobody has a clue to what's happening when your joints are like, when your joints and ligaments are basically going. And surgical intervention is not a treatment, by the way. Okay, so I don't look at it as a treatment. Okay, so obviously if it's like grade 3 and grade 4, then you need to go in for surgery. But more often than not, I would believe that preventing joint deterioration makes more sense. Okay, so putting all these facts together, I think it makes more sense to look for alternatives. Okay, alternatives to long distance running that will A, preserve your joints, and B, still make you achieve your goals. The goals that we spoke about earlier of getting leaner, fitter, and healthier, making you look good, making you feel good. Now, the question that arises is, do we have such alternatives available to us? And the answer is an emphatic yes. Okay? In fact, most of these alternatives are way more effective than long distance running could ever be. And here's the funny part. these alternatives won't be taxing your joints too much. Okay, so what are we talking about? We're talking about sprint intervals, for instance, high intensity interval training, the lot. So do yourselves a favor, do your joints a favor. If you're just running to achieve these kind of goals, your fitness goals, your health goals that we spoke about earlier, please don't. Look for alternative ways of training, look for alternative methods of training. On the other hand, if you're training for the London Marathon and stand to win something, okay, anything, and are willing to put your joints at risk, well, that's a different story altogether. Okay, I hope that has been a bit of a thought-provoking thing. So do get back to me if you have any queries. Send me a message on Facebook or on my Facebook page, facebook.com/conditioning.clinic, and I'll be more than happy as usual to get back as soon as possible. Okay, bye now.